Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. We have a full house this evening. I can see many people are here. Waris, Emisi Peace and Samuel, Amira and Aisha. The Onowale is Ihsan and Ilham, Miriam, Ismail, Muhammad, and Redwan. You are all welcome to tonight's session. I'm a little bit choked because I went out just like the other uncle. I just came back in here. My head is a little bit heavy. So I'll try to keep tonight's session short, but then we will still gain a lot from it. Let me do a quick recall of what we did yesterday with us. But before I go into that, let's reach out to some of us who may be having one or two challenges to tell us what their challenges are. We will need to address those, and then I'll do a revision, give us one or two more things that we need to learn. And then tomorrow, by God's special grace, we'll devote that to animation. I can see questions on party. We will address that when the class is over. So those who are asking me directly should keep that till the end. So do we still have anyone who is having challenges with installation of Python or setting up Pygame on their laptops? Do we have anybody? Okay, seeing none. Can someone tell me what we did yesterday? Yeah, Ismail.
Sir, I was unable to download Pygame.
Okay, so I told you yesterday night that if you have challenges with downloading Pygame, you should reach out to me and I will help you with it. So I expect you to do that tonight. Otherwise, if you don't have the appropriate tools on your laptop, you will not be able to practice the examples that we're working on. And this requires a lot of practice. It's like you going to learn swimming. You cannot sit in the classroom and be learning different strokes of swimming without you going into the pool to practicalize it. So this is a practical thing. And that's why I'm not rushing you. And that's why I'm taking a step back to say, okay, let's have an open discussion about what we learned yesterday. I'll drop. Yes, go ahead.
So yesterday we learned how to add the game icon, how to add the different shapes like squares and rectangles, how to curve them, the width and breadth.
Excellent. Do we have any other person who can tell us what else we learned yesterday? Even though that's the summary of what we did yesterday, what else did you learn yesterday from what we did? Yeah, Mohammed will come to your screen. We are almost there. Can anybody tell me anything about the game screen layout?
So can I say another one?
Yeah, sure.
You taught us about the X and Y axis.
Okay, what did we say about X and Y axis in games?
So please, I'm coming.
Okay.
You said that we should change it to.
I said what?
You
So
said
hello.
the axis should be 0.
Okay. I said the 0, 0 is where X is 0 and Y is 0. And that is where? Is it at the center of the screen, on the top right corner?
Yes, sir.
Or the top left corner? Where? or bottom right corner or bottom left corner? Where is the axis 0, 0?
Top left corner.
Excellent. So if I go to the center of the screen, what will the coordinate be if I have a 400 by 400 screen? 400 by 400 screen means 400 on the horizontal, 400 on the vertical. What will be the coordinate of the center of that square? Someone should tell me. It's a simple math. It will be 200 by 200. And I'm sure you know why. Do you know why it is 200 by 200? No. Okay, let me bring up my screen again. Just hold on a second. Screen 2. Yeah, for those who may be wondering, how did I get 200 by 200? I'll show you what I did. Before we talk about circle, just to do a quick recap, if I go in here and I try to bring a new screen up, what we said yesterday was that I'm getting my marker. If you have a screen that is 200 by 200, let's say this is 200 pixel. This is 200 pixel. And this is your screen. The center here is going to be what? This is 0, 0 at the top left corner here. So this is going to be 100. This is going to be 200. This is going to be 100. This will be 200. So this is going to be 100 here and then 200 here. This is going to be 100 here. This would be 200 here. So the whole dimension is 200. So the midpoint is going to be 100. So for you to get to the center of this, you must have moved 100 to the x-axis, 100 to the y-axis, and that's why this center is 100 by 100. And that will be the coordinate of that center. Is it clear to everyone now? All right. If that is clear, what would then happen if I give you another shape? If I give you another screen and I say, this is a screen that is 300 by 200, what will be the coordinate of the center? Can anybody make an attempt?
150, 100.
150, 100. Are you sure? Would you like to call a friend, ask the audience, or you want to do 50-50? Ridwan, look at it again. Any other person? Someone said 150, 100. Is there any other opinion? Okay. Remember something I told you about a point. I said when you define a point, any given point at all, in geometry, the first element you define is the x, comma, followed by the y. So it said 150, 100. Even though I know what he had in mind is 100, 150. They are not the same. So it should be the correct answer to my question should be 100, 150. Because if you are moving on the x-axis, you need to move to the center, which is the middle. So you've moved 100 pixels to get to the middle. And to get to the center, you need to move 150 pixels to get to this center here. So at the end of the day, the coordinate of that center point will be 100 to the x-axis, comma, 150 to the y-axis. If you say 150, 100, what that means is that you have moved 150 on the x-axis, which will move you to this spot, and then you move 100 pixels down, which will be about this point. And this point is different from this point. So you need to master this geometry very well. If you miss it, there'll be complications, and you may not see anyone around to tell you this is where your problem is coming from. This time around, it's not going to be about the logic of your ideas anymore, but the accuracy of your implementation. You know, before you will be dealing with X, Y, different variable names. This time around, you are dealing with the way you place the object on screen. So see it like your classroom arrangement. If anybody asks you, where is your seat in the class? You can tell them, go to row 3, column 4, and then you will find my seat there. It's easy. That's the way you think. Let's say this is your classroom. There are rows of seats like this. There are columns of seats like this. So you can tell people, oh, I sit here. So that would be column 1, row 1, 2, 3. Oh, I sit here. It would be column 1, 2, 3, row 2. So we will always start with the row number followed by the column. So this would be row 2, column 3, or column 4, depending on the way you do your counting. So the precision must be there. So if two students end up giving the same coordinate as their address in class, then it means Ridwan sits here and Emisi also claims to sit at that spot. So if you are producing two objects, those two objects will sit on top of one another. So one will not appear, and you start wondering what's going on with your code. You may not remember that you have made mistake in the way you place the object on the screen. So most times what people do in programming is they will make an object appear at the center of the screen for a start. So you need to know how to get to that center. Or alternatively, they place the object at the bottom layer here. And then you can start moving to the right, or move to the left, or move upward. Some other people will say, nah, I can deal with it. I can start my object on the lower left corner, and then users know that they can only move up or they move right. But when we get to movement, I will give us more explanations on this tomorrow. But you just need to gain better mastery of the way you place object on the screen. I know it's not going to be so straightforward, but you need to learn it, master it, and then you'll be fine. Now, having said all this, let me go through the subject of our conversation for tonight. We're talking of where are we? We are still here. If you want to
I
draw,
have a question.
yeah, go ahead.
So when are we ending this classes?
Okay. I know different schools have different resumption dates. At least I found out that after going out earlier today. Some schools are resuming on Sunday. I heard some have already resumed, and some will be resuming on the 16th of September. So it's an open conversation that we can have. What do you think?
Well, we are resuming on the 9th.
Okay, which school is that?
Um, Bethel Germany School.
Okay, where is that located?
Shonola.
It's in Lagos, right?
Yes, I is in Lagos.
Okay, fine. So we have September 9th. Any other dates on the table? That's like Monday. Any other?
Yes.
Okay, any other resumption date for anybody else?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Amira, when is your school resuming?
September 17.
17. Okay. So we have 17th September. We have 9th September. Which other day do we have on the table? Is any other school resuming any other day apart from these two? So let's assume these are the two dates that are available. What do you think we should do? I'm pushing the question back to you. Emisi, what do you think we should do?
Since it's just in the evenings, we can still carry on until maybe the people that are resuming on 17th and 16th until maybe they resume. Since our hours is very early.
Okay. So in your school, do you go from home or you stay in school as boarding students?
No, we go from home.
Okay. So we can carry on till 17th to rhyme with those who are resuming on the 17th. Okay, those who are resuming on the 17th, do you agree with that? You should agree now. Oh yeah, talk. Those that are resuming on the 17th, should we continue till that date? If you don't, then we will agree with Mrs. idea. 1, 2,
September 16.
16, 17, yes. So we will continue till that resumption date, a day before that, and then that is when we will wrap up. I guess that's clear. All right. So with that said, let me go back to my screen. And we will, where's my mouse? Oh my God. Okay, this is it here. So I need to go back to my screen. Yes, I want to talk to you about how do you bring a circle onto your screen. Yesterday we talked about how you can bring different shapes onto the screen. We talked about rectangles, we talked about squares, we talked about situation where they are filled like this or when they are empty like this. We talked about when you can make the edges curved, all the edges, or when you make just one or two edges curved. These were some of the things we discussed yesterday. But what about when you want to add a rectangle to your screen? How do you go about it? What syntax would you need? In the simplest form of coding, this is what you need for your circle. Why? This is rectangle, sorry. I moved away from rectangle. Yeah, this is circle. So this is what you need for your circle. You need to do pygame.draw.circle, not .line, which is the syntax for you drawing line, not .rect, which is the syntax for rectangle and circle. Sorry, rectangle and square, but .draw.circle because you want to draw a circular object. Now, the parameters that you need are this. You need to indicate the surface where the circle is going to be drawn. You need to tell us the color of the circle. You need to tell us where the center of the circle is going to be. And I'm going to give you a layout of this before I show you the code. Then you need to tell us the radius and then the width. So what exactly do we mean by this? Let me go back to my marker again. If this is your surface, for sake of argument, and you want to draw a circle, we all know what a circle looks like. It's like this, okay? So we must know the center, which is that spot there. And if you don't know the center, the Pygame engine will not know where the drawing of the circle is going to come from, because your radius is supposed to start from the center and extend to the circumference. So that is why we want to know the center of your circle, and then want to know the radius of the circle. One thing you cannot do, even though it's technically possible, but it doesn't make any sense, is if this is a 300 by 200 screen. Please watch this. This is a 300 by 200 screen. Your center here, the center of this screen, is going to be 100 by 150. That's not a problem. So it means from that center to this side, it's going to be 100. From that center all the way up here, it's going to be 150. If you want to draw a circle and you are placing it at the center, the radius of that circle, which is this, is not expected to be longer than this distance. If the radius is longer than that distance, it means your circle will go outside the view. It will be like you have a radius extending to this. Your circle will end up being like this, which does not make any sense. So it comes back to what I said yesterday. Your paper is very key. Draw everything out on paper first, then you can come to your screen and implement it. So you need to be mindful of the parameter you set for the center and the radius. We'll demonstrate this message that I just passed, and you'll see the effect it will have on your screen. So once you understand the syntax, you are fine. You can draw a basic circle. The only other element there is the width. The width behaves in a very funny way. You may choose not to indicate it, and if you have it, the effect is going to be different. We'll see it in the code, and you see what the effect will be. Now, that's the most basic syntax for your circle. But if you do not want the circle to be like this one, what else can you do? It's possible for you to have something that looks like, hey, sorry, that's not a pizza. Let me remove this. Give me an eraser. Give me my pen back. You can have something like this. Something that looks like a pizza. That's a sector. That's what you call it in mathematics. That's a sector. You can have something that looks like an hemisphere, like half of the circle, whether the top one or the lower one. You can have something that looks like this. If you cut the circle vertically, you can have something that looks like this. All of these are possibilities that you can have from the definition of a circle. So it's not mandatory that your circle must be complete like this one. So we will try tonight. You will be the one guiding me. My job is to give you the path and give you the touch. But what I need you to pay attention to is when you want to produce all these other fanciful shapes, what you do is you go down to the second syntax. After the width, where you indicate the thickness of the border, that's just what the width is doing. After that one, we will now say draw top right corner. Draw top right, which is the first parameter, is talking about if you split your circle into 4. If you split it into 4 like this is the top right corner. This is the top left corner. This is the bottom left corner. This is the bottom right corner. So you can indicate whichever one you want to see in your final output. So you see parameters like draw top right corner, draw top left corner, draw bottom left corner, draw bottom right corner. You can decide on which one you want, and it will be fun, filling it up with your desired color or making it empty by indicating the thickness of the border. So we need to implement all this for you to see, and it will be fun doing it. So let's go to our code. Enough of theory of this. So let's come back in here and say, can you see my screen clearly? Are the texts big enough?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks a lot. So in the most basic form, I need to add a circle. Yes, this is it. I already put something here, and I call it add field circle. And the definition is pygame.draw.circle. We are placing it on our screen. We want it to be filled with orange color, and this is the center. Now, I need to do something before you come to this 120, 400. A lot of people will be like, oh, what's 120? What's 400? Let's go to the definition of our screen. I'll copy this. I really don't need it, but I need you to think with it when you are drawing your own shapes. So if we bring those elements here, just for a moment, what we are saying is that we need to make it a comment. It's just for our guide. What we are saying is that our width, which is the horizontal space, is going to be 380. Moving on the horizontal axis here is 380, but the vertical one is going to be 500. So if you are looking for the center of the screen, let's do something quickly. I'm not displaying anything, so let me run this game. Yeah, this is the game. So this is, let me go back to the screen definition. Yes. So this 380 is the dimension of this horizontal axis from the edge on the left to the edge on the right. You need to move 380 pixels. Okay. So we can make it easier so that you won't do too much of mathematics. Why don't we make it 400? So that our maths will be a lot easier. So I'll say 400, and I can make the height 600. So when you run this again, now we have 400. No, we can't, because this is in my comment. We need to go back to the real part here because it didn't even look different to me. So we'll change it here and then run the code again. Yeah. So it's now longer. This is now 600 in height, 400 on the horizontal axis. So if anybody is asking you for the center of this rectangle, where would the center be? Can someone help me? Someone should help me. Where will the center of that screen be? What will be the coordinate of that center? You are 400 on the horizontal, 600 on the vertical. Where is the center point going to be? Any help from anyone?
20, 30, sir.
It cannot be 20.
Sorry, 200, 300.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So that will be the center of this screen. So if we want our circle to be at that center, when we are defining its center here, we will not put 120 by 400. Rather, I'll put what you just told me, 200 by 300. But I want the radius to be 60. So this is add field circle. That's the first thing I am putting there. In fact, I'll define it as, okay, just keep it that way. So if I go down to the circle definition, I will uncomment this. And when we run our code, we should have a circle right there. It is at the center of the screen. The edges or the circumference will be exactly the same distance from the top as it is from the bottom part of the screen. And the distance between the circumference and the edge on the right will be the same as the distance between the circumference and the left edge of the screen. We have placed our circle at the middle of the screen. And we're saying the radius, when you go up here to check the definition, this is the line here. We're saying the radius is 60. If you want that circle to be bigger, all you need to do is to increase the dimension of your radius. Let's say 100. And then you will see a much bigger circle. So you can see that as you are increasing the radius, the circumference is moving close to the edge of the screen. Let's do one more thing. Let's increase this to 150. We are going beyond our limit gradually, but not yet. Now, this is the circle. It's getting bigger, and we're almost at the edge of the screen. Let's increase to 180. We're almost there, okay? Especially on both left and right sides. If I now say, no, I want my circle to have a radius of 220, you know you have gone out of your bounds. You know that. Technically, I said it to you that it's possible, but it may not make any sense for you to do this, except if you are saying by your design, this is the kind of layout you want your screen to have. Maybe there are things you now want to be doing at the middle of the screen. I have no idea. This is up to you as games developer to decide. But for aesthetic purpose, you can choose to have this. But the ideal thing is if you want this circle to move around the screen, then it cannot be this big because it has already filled up the screen. So you need to be mindful of the value you set for the radius. So let's bring it back to something more reasonable, 80. And then you have it at 80 there. Now, let's play around a little bit with some other parameters apart from the radius, which you now understand. Now, you understand the color, but how about 200 and 300? We said that's the midpoint of the screen. What would have happened if I put 0, 0? Can we do that? You can see it pushed our circle into that top left corner. Unfortunately, it's not something we can fit into that space. And that's why a significant part of it disappeared. So it tried to align the center of the circle with the point 0, 0. So you wouldn't want to do this with a circle. So you may now say, what can I do? Let me push it towards this point here. This point at the middle of the screen, but it's kissing the top of the screen, literally. And that will be the point where X is not 0 anymore. X is now the middle of the screen, and we are using 400. So X is going to be 200 there. I don't know what Y will be, but let's change it. So we'll say X goes to 200. Not 2000 though, 200. And then it brings our circle to that point. Then we know we need to adjust Y. I can adjust Y by saying if my radius is 80, then make Y also 80. And if you run this again, your circle will just, touch the top of the screen. And this may be the starting point for your object. So you'll see that initially I was putting lines, I was putting numbers there, and you probably didn't know why those numbers came about. But with this example, you are getting better at why certain numbers are where they are. So if I do not want my circle to be touching the top of the screen and I want it to go all the way down, it should be touching the base of the screen here, not that it should disappear. I know the screen height is 600. So if I want the circle to come down there, then I have to do 600 minus 160. And you'll be wondering, how did I get 160? The radius is 80. So it means the distance between this point and this point is 80 plus 80, which is 160. So I will have to remove 160 from the entire height here, and that should give me 440 kind of. So let's try that and see what our result will be. Most likely we'll be spot on or we'll be short of 80. Yeah. So we are short of 80. So I'll do 440 plus 80 will give me 520. It gives me 520, and when you run this code, your circle sits just at the base of your screen, and then you're at peace. So you may not go around and say, no, 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 no. We want something because we want to play a game, and it's going to be like a duel between us and maybe another opponent. You can come around and say, make a copy of this definition, and then call this one, let me say, give me a color. Okay, purple. And I'll go back and say, this is 160.
So purple and orange put together.
What do you think? Navy?
Or black.
Black. Okay, so let's check this. Yeah, this is what I'm thinking. I want to bring in your opponent here. So it will be 80 here. Good. So you are down here. The person that wants to play against you is up there, even though your circles are too big. You won't have enough space to move around without colliding. So you may then go around and say, reduce this to like 50, 50, 50, and this will be not 50, but 550. And if you run this again, then you have smaller circles, and then you are ready for, action. Someone will be controlling this, another person will be controlling this, and then you move around. Maybe you fire some things at each other, or you move in the direction of each other, and whoever is able to hit or fire an object that hits this opposition first scores some point. It depends on your design. But I'm letting you see that I can place multiple circles on the screen, even from the same function, add field square. That's possible. And it's possible for me to say, this, my second screen, will be different. It has a radius, but I can give it a width of 5. So I don't want it to be filled with blue color. Rather, the border should be blue, something like this. It depends on your design, but that option is there for you. You can write something like this and it works pretty well for your circle. So this is the simplest form in which you can have your circle, and I have demonstrated an empty one, so I don't need to go that route again. Now, when it comes to fancy circle, we will draw quite a number of them. Even though I have one on the screen, I'll put fancy circle 1. I'll make the radius 80, and we'll draw quite a number of it for you. So I'll say add fancy circle. Should I call it 1? Okay, let's call it 1 for now. So we'll go down to where we are executing the codes and say, I already had fancy circle written, but it's supposed to be fancy circle 1. So what does this look like when it runs? It's this. It runs and shows me this code. And you'll be like, how? Hold on a second. How did you draw that? I was able to get this shape because I said my circle should be placed on the screen, which it has done. It should be colored orange. The center of the circle should be moved 250 pixel on the horizontal axis, move 200 pixel on the vertical axis, and that corresponds to this sharp edge of the sector, which is like the center of the sector. Okay. Then I said, make sure that my circle has a radius of 80, and that's the length of this place to this place, or this place to that place. And then I'm saying the width is 0. The width is 0, and that's why the sector is filled with the color that I have indicated here. If I change the width to anything greater than 0, then it will become an empty sector, and the thickness of the border will be the value of the width that I have up there. Now look at what we did. We said draw top right is true. This is the top right segment or sector of your circle if you split it into 4. This is the top right, this is the top left, this is the bottom left, and this is the bottom right. And we will draw 2 more. In fact, we'll draw 4 more so that you see how this is going to be like. So if I want to place the one that is top left, can someone give me the command for drawing a circle, a segment of a circle that will put the sector on the top left corner? You can move it to another part of the screen. I don't mind. You have something to guide you. So I'll come in here and say, fine, I'll change the name back to add fancy circle. I'll change the name back. And then when I get to add fancy circle, I'll copy this, make a copy. Yeah, someone should tell me, how do I set the parameters to get top left corner appear alone and place it on another part of the screen? Let me give you an idea. You will change this parameter to draw top left. These are the 4 options. I told you can do top right, top left, bottom right, bottom left. So we already showed an example that shows top right is true. This time around, I want top left is true. But I cannot place them like this. If I run this, it will be like a continuation of the previous example. It gives you a semicircle straight away because their placements are pretty much similar. In fact, identical, kind of. You may want this and you get your result this way. But why do I need 2 lines to produce this? I could have produced this with just 1 line. If this is the shape that I have in mind. So I don't have this shape in mind. So I'll go back into my code and say, this is going to be my top right sector. I need a comment. This should be top left sector. Then I'll say bottom right sector. I'll say bottom left sector. I'll come around and say, what else can we do? We'll say top semicircle. They will say top semicircle. Bottom semicircle. We can produce all of this differently. So the one I can give you easily is this. I can give you all the four, but I need you to think on your own. So if I say top semicircle, even though in maths they write this as semi-hyphen. All right. So I'll block this. I won't show you anything yet. So because that's not even the answer. So instead of us having top left sector immediately beside top right one, what can we do? We can move this away from sharing coordinates with the top circle. So instead of both of them having the same center, I can move this to like 100. I can move it to 100. And when you run this, you will see that there are some pixels apart. So they don't share region anymore. So when I said that I moved it to 100 from 250, 250 was here. So I just moved back to this point. So this is now X 100. You move from the edge down to this place is 100, to some here is 200, then another 50 will get you here. So you need to be able to measure that distance very well. Now, when I want to do the bottom right sector, which is going to be somewhere here, this is the one that will have bottom left sector. Can someone guide me on what my parameters will look like? Anybody? Whoever gives me any answer here will get something from me when we do our face-to-face meeting. What would the bottom right sector look like? You can change the color, you can change the center, you can change the radius, you can change the width, you can change this last parameter. Then I want the same thing for bottom left sector. Then there will be special price for whoever gives me this. These two here. These last two. So let's go. Bottom right sector. What will be the definition? Give it a try. Anybody?
Someone to try.
Yeah, where is? Go ahead.
Draw bottom right.
You change this.
Who is speaking? Okay, where is? Go ahead.
Draw bottom.
Change the center number. You can change the center number and just change it. Maybe.
No, you should be sure of what you are
Draw
telling.
bottom right.
Okay, that's read one. Draw bottom right to true. Yes. What else do I need to change?
You can change the center.
Okay, what do I change it to?
You can change it to, let's say 50.
50, okay. 50 and what?
50 and 150
Okay.
for the second.
It's fun. Whatever you tell me, I'll do. So let's see how this one plays out. In my head, I know where it's appearing. So you can see we have placed it on top of an existing object. So we need to move it elsewhere. So you need to change your center. Read one. Give me another center.
I'll change it to 250.
250?
Oh no. No. Maybe 220.
220 and what?
And the same 150.
Ah, interesting. Okay, so let's say 220 and the same 150. Another overlap. It's fun. You have to make this mistake to master it. So you now realize that your Y is inaccurate. You need to increase Y for this shape to go downward. So
Leon, please, sir, what are you using? Is it this screen?
yeah, the center is going to be what? 150 is going to turn to something like 300. And when you do that, that shape will
Please,
stand.
sir.
Yes?
The X and Y axis of the screen.
Yes. The X and Y axis of the screen are like this. This is the X axis, anything on the horizontal side. Then anything on the vertical side is the Y axis. And the way it works is X axis is increasing as you go towards the right. That's the rule. Whether you are on the top or the center or on the edge, the value of X axis increases as you move towards this boundary here. And the value of X axis decreases as you move towards this boundary here from top to the bottom. However, for Y axis, the value increases as you move towards the bottom of the screen, and it gets to the maximum when you get to the bottom of the screen. And the value of Y axis reduces as you move towards the top of the screen, and it becomes 0 when you get to the top of the screen here. So if I need this to rhyme with the positioning of this top one, I will make their X coordinate the same, and that will be 250, which is the same as this top one. And you will see now that they are aligned vertically. Everything looks the same, and we have separated them. So on the basis of this, can someone tell me how we will do this, the last bit here, which is the lower left corner? And we will change the color. I don't want the color to be the same. Lower left corner, what should it be?
Draw bottom left.
Okay, so we'll say draw bottom left. Is true, correct?
Then change the color to black.
Change the color to black. Correct. What do we do to the center?
And then our x-axis should be like 200.
Okay. And the y-axis will be like what?
100 or 300.
Okay, so you see where you are gambling now. Don't worry. So you can see you have moved it way inside. So your x-axis should be the same as what you had here. 100 should be good enough. Let's check if I'm correct. And then your y-axis should be maybe 300.
150 for the x-axis.
Yeah, 150. Okay, we can do something like this. So you can see these are nice shapes that you can produce. But if you do not want them to have filled colors like this, you just want the lines to be there with, sharp edges, I can pick one of them and say, convert the width to 5. Once the width is greater than 0, this is what you will have, an arc. And I'm sure that's not what you have in mind. So, but if you want to produce an arc, this is the way to go about it, just for your information. So that's one way of drawing circle. Remember, we now said we have 2, in fact, 3 crazy circles elements to draw. We will come in here and say circle with 3 corners, or with 3 segments, circle with 3 quadrants, if you can call it that. Someone will have to guide me with this. So how do I draw a top semicircle? What would that look like? This requires...
Sir, please, I didn't hear a question very well, sir.
Yeah, how do we draw a semicircle that is facing downward? I'll give you an example of what I mean. I will have this, the complete part of it on this side, and then it closes, so it will look like half of the circle, but we are seeing the top part facing downward, and we'll produce the lower side facing upward. How can we do that? Think you can do it. Should I help you do one, and then you do the second one for me, and the last one? Should I? All right, let me show you what I'll do. I'll say draw top right, true. Draw top left, true. Okay, so where do I place my semicircle? I'll place it on 350, 400. Sorry, not 800, 400. And this is what you will see. It's running inside. So I'll bring it out and say, I need to go further down to 500. And then my x-axis will be, say, 300. Good. So I have produced this semicircle facing downward by including draw top right corner. It draws it, which is this part. Draw top left corner. It's also true. It gives me the left side. And I simply undid the placement by defining the center at 300 on the horizontal axis, 500 on the vertical axis. So if you want to produce the second side of this, which is this part here, facing upward, how do you go about defining it? In fact, you can place it directly under this one and change the color to something else. How would you do it? Can someone help me? That would be this line here.
Yeah, close.
Any help? I've given you a template. So what do you think that definition would look like?
To add draw top right.
We cannot have top again. We are dealing with the bottom side.
Oh, sorry. You add but draw bottom. You change that draw top left to draw bottom left.
Okay.
Then you add draw bottom right.
All right. Draw bottom right to be true. Excellent. What else? Remember I said you need to change the color. Something else.
Then change your x-axis.
Color is purple.
Hey,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, change the color.
Okay, so where will I place?
Anyhow.
Yeah, where do I place as my center?
Your center, your x-axis should be 600.
No, if I say 600, it will go off the screen. No, it should be the same as the previous one.
No. That should be 100. Yes, 100. The x-axis should be 100.
Okay, you will see what will happen if I do this.
200.
You can see where you placed your x-axis as 400, as 100. It's at the top here. But that's not where you
Okay.
want it. So,
X will be 200.
okay, if x is 200, this is still another guesswork. It's not where you want it.
Then x should be 400.
X is equal to 300. 300.
Okay,
400.
final answer, 300. That's correct. X is going to be 300. Yes. So it is on the
And
correct plane now. So where is the y value
Y
going?
is equal to 500.
Yeah. No, y should be equal to, since it's the bottom, y should be equal to like 150 or 100
No.
or 200. Yes.
No, it's already
Let's
200.
leave it as 200. Leave it as 200.
500.
No.
If you put
Yes, 500.
500,
I agree with 500.
okay, I disagree with 500, but let me put your 500 first so that you see the result. Ah, you're right. Bravo. So you can see this is the way you play around with the screen. You make mistakes, you learn from your mistakes, you get improved understanding of the screen layout. And now you can see that we have produced an amazing shape. And you can imagine when someone tells you that you can spin this circle round now, and it will be spinning at a defined speed on the screen. It will be exciting to you. But without me writing the code for you, I have pushed you to set some parameters on your own. You've made some mistakes. You've been able to fix them, and you have been able to, produce something nice. Now, I need you to produce one more circle for me, or a variant of a circle. This time around, it is not going to be this top facing down or bottom facing up. It will be a circle that, let me cut to my screen for the presentation. It will be, where is it? This guy here. Can someone produce it? Something like this. And you can give it any color that you like. You can place it anywhere you like. So that is what we need to produce. Can anybody help us? So think through it.
I'll try.
This is top right. Sorry, top left. This is top right. This is bottom left. This is bottom right.
Then it should be,
Okay, so
since
let's
we're
go to the shape.
dealing with,
All right, since
so
we are dealing with this,
right jaw top left equals true. The right another jaw top left equals true. It's another jaw top
Draw
left
top
equals
right
true equals
is
to
equal
3.
okay, so draw top right equals true. I agree. What else?
draw bottom left is equal to true.
Ah, okay. I agree. At least since you are the one
Draw
telling me.
bottom right is equal to true.
Draw bottom right. It's also
Right
true.
equals to true.
Okay. What else is true?
Done, sir.
There is only one draw again.
No. Jaw,
Aha. You see, you have seen your mistake. I'm happy you detected your own mistake on your own. So tell me which one of this is not true.
the jaw top right, yes,
Draw
not supposed to be true.
should
Okay.
be false.
Draw top right, you said is false. You have changed the shape of my object. Oh. But I agree, don't worry. You will see what you have drawn. What else do we change here?
That's all.
No, we have to place it somewhere. Yeah, Amira, thanks a lot.
Okay.
We need to place it somewhere because if we leave it this way, it will overwrite something that was there before. So you can see that you flipped it. I wanted the top left to be false and the top right to be true. But it's part of creativity. It depends on your orientation. But I want it to be on this side, not overriding what I previously placed there. So you need to help me move it downward.
Okay.
So what do we
So,
do?
So
is
then,
it top left?
Emisi, this is what I
X should
wanted us
be
to do before. I wanted us to do top right is true and top left is false.
why
This was what was in my initial design. I wanted something like this. Okay.
No, that's what I wanted to say.
Ah, okay.
Well,
Okay. So you didn't say it, but now you have it. So how do we move this down now to go to this?
our
right
Y should be
side?
500.
Okay, our Y should be 500. And what else? Let's check.
That's all.
That's all. Oh, some geniuses are in this class. That's all. When you know it, you know it. So you can see now that it's fun when you are moving object around the screen. You now know that, oh, Y should just be 500. We are
Still leave
not
it at home.
that change. And it's beautiful. And that's why that shape came down here. So this is just you playing around with the circle object. And you have added different shapes of circle. Yeah, thanks, Amira. This is beautiful. You should now sit down on your own and start designing different types of shapes and think of what you can do with those shapes. Do you want to stretch them? Do you want them to move around the screen? Do you want them to spin on their axis? Do you want them to bounce off the wall? Because tomorrow I'll give you the basic and probably the most interesting part of all of this, moving all these objects around the screen. First, we'll start saying, how do you move it up? How do you move it down? When you press your up arrow key or your down arrow key, and at what speed? Then after you know how to move up or move the object down, we will start thinking of one or two more elements in that. When you move it up, it will keep going up as long as you keep pressing the up arrow key. When it gets to this part, what should happen? Should it go and disappear and reappear on the lower side, or it should bounce back into the screen area? You need to decide. I'll show you how to do both. Then we will also learn how to move right or left. And then you need to equally learn how to detect the edge. When you get to the right, should you disappear into the screen and reappear on the left-hand side, or you should bounce back into this game area? We will learn that tomorrow. And then when you move on the left-hand side and you hit this wall, should you be able to hit it and come back into the game area, or you should just disappear into the left-hand side and then reappear on the right-hand side? We will equally see this. This is going to be based on your own design as game programmer. But tonight has been quite interesting, in my opinion, because we revised what we did yesterday and we all jointly placed different types of circles on the screen based on different definitions. And your knowledge of the coordinate of the screen is a lot better than it was yesterday. The more you play with this design concept on paper, the better you become. Don't try to keep everything in your mind. Sketch it on paper first, and then you will be able to determine the exact dimensions for your parameters. And it's just going to be fun because tomorrow it's going to it's going to get more interesting when you can now move this thing around. I know a lot of people will start asking me question. Okay, if object can move around on the screen, if two objects come in contact, how do we make something explode like a sound? And then how do we start keeping scores? don't be in a hurry. Let's go one step at a time. And then the more you practice, the better you become. I will upload the video for the class on to our YouTube channel. Congratulations to those who watched yesterday's class. I uploaded it early this morning. And if you need more videos to revise what we did before now, let me show you something that I have. Just 1 minute. I've seen it. So this is it. Yeah. So I produced some content. Let me refresh to see. Oh my goodness. Okay, so you see your Python game lesson 2 yesterday. 8 people have seen it, or it's been watched 8 times. Your lesson 1, 4 people have seen. And then I produced some additional videos to help you if you have forgotten what we did in the previous class. You can go in and check. Excuse me. It starts from why do we write programs? Let me go to playlists. Yeah. Not your UMGA Summer Python Coding for Kids. Rather, you go to Python Fundamentals in 15 minutes. When you go in here, you will see all the videos that I've put. I'm going to put some more overnight, and it keeps getting richer every day. So you see 113 people have viewed this one. This is the prologue, the introduction. You really don't need to watch that. You can watch if you want. What is programming? 13 minutes. You can watch it. You like, you give feedback. If there are questions, you can post your question there under comment. I will see it and respond to you. If you go to lesson 2, the process of writing programs, you see 15 people have watched. There are 2 comments there, 2 likes. Programming languages, if you want to know more about it, there is a 10-minute video recording that has been seen 10 times. How do you install Python? It's been watched 25 times with 1 like. How do you run pip commands? This may be a little bit advanced for you, but you need to learn it. 16 views. Your first Python code, 9 views. Variables, part 1. It's very important you watch all of this. 3 views. I uploaded this like yesterday. Variable part 2, there are about 3 parts to variables there. Then I talked about operators. Then I recorded 5 videos on strings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 overnight. Tonight stroke tomorrow, I'll record 7 videos on numbers. And the more you watch this, the better you will become. And when you come back to watch the videos on Pygame, it will make a lot of more sense to you. This has been an interesting evening for me. I yield the floor back to our coordinator to do a recap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Imisi, I'm going to upload this tonight because I know you won't have time. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
so
Assalamu
Emisi,
alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Riwan, Aisha.
Please, sir, can we have a recap of what we have done from the beginning? Because I want to take sir.
Okay, we can do a recap, but if you go and watch the videos, you will see everything there on YouTube. So you can pause it, you can take pictures and then take note of the screens. And one thing I can also do is I will try to put the codes, I'll write the codes out and put them where you can download the code so that you just copy paste them onto your own PyCharm and you will see the comments there. I think it's a lot easier that way. What do you think?
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. So you won't have
Jazakumullah
to be rewriting everything. I will write the code, I will upload it somewhere, and I'll put the link under the video. So when you click on it, you will see the code and you'll see the comments. Yeah, back to you, our coordinator.
Oh yeah, Uncle, thank you. So you guys
you agree with me that it's been an interesting class. So I agree with Uncle that it's been an interesting class because we did revision, and that revision has really helped in so many, in no small ways. Okay. And also, it's also exciting because it makes our to know that yes, we are improving. So today I wasn't really listening in. I was in another that has to do with lines and geometry and so on and so forth. So I was thinking in my head that these guys have now, so I, I, just watch the video. The video is better than recap because when it's recorded, including what was said, what was not said, and so on. So please watch the video, and then tomorrow we come together again. Tomorrow is going to be our last class for the holiday. Uncle, am I right?
No, sir. We had a discussion earlier during which we agreed that since some people are resuming on the 9th and some are resuming 16th, 17th, we should continue to have our class till 17th and then we stop by then.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
So we might want
So-
to consider a different date for our reunion. In fact, that gives us enough
Okay.
time to plan the reunion.
Oh, I see. Okay, so that is interesting. And then I would like us to indicate for those that are in Lagos, so that let us know our numbers so that we can know how to plan. Okay? But come to tomorrow's class again. Please let's go over the video and then we can contribute when Uncle tomorrow begins to ask questions about what you have learned. Okay. So guys, enjoy your sleep and dream about me and have a wonderful night. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Abdullah has his hand up. Can we get your question, please, quickly?
So I'm still having challenges installing my Pygame.
Okay, reach out to me on WhatsApp. I'll fix that for you by God's grace.
Okay, sir.
All right. Thanks.